It's Wednesday, November 16th, 2021. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. Just thinking to myself this morning, within this still, my youngest baby doll, my youngest son, Cat Scratch, or Anthony, 2012, the PS31Q school wants to give him a device. I didn't sign up for it. I didn't ask for it. I don't want him to have it, quite frankly. But I'm stuck in this debauchery quandary at the moment, where the humans that I live amongst are pushing technology and the use of technology, but at the basic amount. They're not teaching the kids anything really of substance with the technology. It's these really dumbed down, watered down apps of like almost the equivalent of teaching a child to use a calculator, when there are like aeronautical instruments being like a sextant and a compass and a protractor, and learning architecture through artwork and your hand and some rudimentary tools to draw on a drafting table. That's the level I want my son to be at. But what they've offered my son is this device where now they're pushing it and enforcing it upon him, just like the vaccines they've been doing with the people through the media advertising. But there's no, first of all, any electronic device compromises my son's health and safety, mixed into this disgusting blood banking business that they've got going on in this mixed contamination unit of biohazards. So that's at phlebotomy and quantum entanglements that I never asked for, and they've compromised my safety and health through the healthcare system of mergers, takeovers, different software upgrade companies where they've merged and lost huge pools of data. Not that they acknowledge that or let any of the humans know. But it seems that they've been doing this a lot. So now I'm stuck because the guy at school says that he needs me to sign paperwork. I'm like, I don't want the device. I mean, like, and then if my son doesn't use the device, is he now going to be further behind? But it's not even like the device is useful in some manner. It's like toy. And it's programmed in inefficiency because it never works right. It's been my experience. So that's a problem. I have no counselor, not a healthcare worker, not a clergy member, not a technology specialist, not a gender counselor of any kind here. Nobody that's been educated as to how to keep yourself safe from the humans who keep pushing this kind of lifestyle. And there's been no opt-out. They've not allowed you to opt out and say, you know what, I hear I have ancestors over in such and such a place. They offered me to take me in. I'm going to go to that place. There's none of that's happened at all. I also incidentally have when I was little and I was about 15, 16, there was a man who called me. I used to do babysitting for a whole bunch of clients in the neighborhood, in Cold Spring Harbor, and I got a phone call, which is the only time my phone ever rang. And it was a man who wanted to set up a meeting to interview me for babysitting. All right. So he said to meet him on the side of the road by the main road by my house. All right. So I did. And then I got in the car And then we drove and we talked for a while. And at some point in the meeting, he said something about, if I said to you that Prussia and Bavaria were fighting, would you know what that means? And I'm like, no. And I was like, I don't, like, what does it mean? He says, well, I'm not, he's like, he says, don't worry about that right now. I'm like, all right. And then when he dropped me back off, and it was a black BMW, when he dropped me back off, and this was not a man that I had known, and he had a card. He asked me to read it. Had I ever heard of him? I said no. And then it had a second script. Now, I don't know if that second script, if that's what Alpha Vita is, if it was Greek. Again, I don't really know because I've never been exposed to it. I only know the alphabet, like the block characters, the 26 letters that they use here in New York. So when he dropped me off, he said something about he's an art dealer or something along those lines. And somebody had contacted him because I'm the girl with the pearl earring. They already confirmed that. There's no arguing over that. And the boy who I was to marry just wanted me and didn't want any trouble and had asked that meeting to be set up. So I was like, he did? I was like, all right. I was like, well, how do I find him? I was like, do you have a phone number? Do you have, like, what do I do? He says, you just wait. I'm like, wait? I've been waiting my whole life. I was like, why do I have to just wait? And so he had a piece of paper with the painting of the girl with the pearl earring. And he said that in fancier places, because he asked me, like, do you know what a duchess is? Or, I'm like, I know, I mean, I've heard the word, but not often. I know it's associated with something in a totally different lifestyle than what I have here. And that was, like, the extent of our conversation on that. But he did show me a picture of the painting and did confirm that that was my whatever, and that there was somebody in the mid-90s looking for me or to come whatever, but something was going on with Bavaria and Prussia. I don't know what that was all about, or if that was just something that he said in order to mislead elsewhere. Again, it gets really confusing with these humans. But long story short is the girl in the painting belongs to a man somewhere, and they're still not together. And I have that pheno archetype that's really important. And currently the architecture and structure that I'm in New York has some kind of like voltage or amperage shock. It's unconditioned electric. It's not moving in the right way. And now it's physically beating me and harming me in some vortices in the weather pattern, along with other misperforming or malperforming weather equipment. And I can't get out of it. I don't know how to get out of it, let's put it that way. So, it's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. So I don't even know, like, when I was in the same school, there was no computers at all. When I was in Cold Spring Harbor and Lloyd Harbor, there was no computers. There was an Apple Macintosh introduced, but like for hunt and peck typing, which I always said whenever they put us in computer lab, I said, I would never want to do this. Why would anybody, and we were in a small locked room. I'm like, why would anybody want to sit here and just type and have it? This is not interesting. This is not fun. And then they got rid of computer lab completely. It only was for a short while. But again, there's been no genetic counselor or gender counselor or diocese. Oh, and that's the other thing, is that the word diocese, it's dio, it's day, D-A-Y, delta alpha gamma, lowercase gamma. And then it's sees. So I don't understand. Right now, it's, if you're in a nuclear fission tube, why would you want to seize the engine up and cause a tremendous seismic vibration and break of the machine? It just doesn't make sense.